And Shirley Joshi, as I said earlier, along with looking after her 3 children, IWA gave her whatever support was required, and he continued to work for the Indian Work Association and for the Communist Party. After Joshi's death, a collection of his poetries in Urdu was published by the Indian Work Association. I think about 5,000 copies. The title is Paymane-e-Inqilab. It is Road to Revolution. I don't know how many books were sold, but the remaining books are stored at Shri Udham Singh Welfare Trust.
Was there ever any English translations of his poetry?
No. Punjabi translation was done in India, and it was published in India.
Are there any plans to do any English translations?
There is no plan from the IWA. Yeah. Ajaz did a lot of work on that book. So that's about Shirley and Comrade Teja Singh Sahota. I don't know whether he was a Communist Party member in India, but definitely he was sympathizer. He was a professor in India, and he taught mathematics at the colleges. Overcoming here all his life, he worked in the factory, and one particularly called Automatic Products in Leamington Spa. While working in the factory, he was working for the trade union movement, for the Communist Party, and for the Indian Work Association. After Joshi's death, I was elected to be General Secretary and Teja as the President, and both of us continued until Teja's death. He was very intelligent, good organizer, and I appreciate his services. I mentioned Vishnu Datt Sharma. He was in Southall. He was Communist Party leader in Punjab. Then he came over here and became the member of the Communist Party of Great Britain. He was elected to its National Executive Committee. All his life he dedicated himself to the working class movement, including the Communist Party, Indian Work Association, anti-racist struggle. And as I mentioned on that, he died in India. He went to attend a Communist Party of India conference, and after the conference, when they returned to Delhi, he suffered a heart attack and he died there. He was a good comrade, very good reputation. He also started with the support of the organization a Punjabi paper, Charcha, and it was published for a couple of years, but it was closed.
What does that mean, Charcha?
Charcha means publicity. That was Vishnu, Comrade Harbhajan Dardi. He came from India during late 60s. Initially, he joined the Congress Party Indian, but soon he was disaffected from them and he joined Indian Work Association, and also he joined Association of Indian Communists. When the IWA, actually he came after the split. He came in 1968, IWA split in 1967, and he worked with the CPM people, left people, Dardi people, and it was Narendra Dosanjh, Sound Sandhu, and but remaining his life, he dedicated his life, but he has a very solid base in Sandville area, and lot of work he did, welfare work of the people and political work. He joined the Socialist Labour Party, and he contested 2001 general election against John Speller, and he was the only candidate of the Labour Party, Socialist Labour Party, who saved his deposit. He received over 2,000 pound, not pound, over 2,000 votes, and it was good credit to receive so many. John Speller was shaken because he had very large reputation, but all the cronies of the Labour Party, they worked against Dardi, like Daljit Shergill, his daughter, and then Babu Singh, Baba Tallu, Tarsem King, Joshan, all of them, they worked against him and for John Speller. Otherwise, he would have received.
But wasn't that expected, given that they were members of the Labour Party and not the Socialist Labour Party?
So these crowd which I mentioned, they were particularly against Dardi. They may not have gone out to canvass for John Speller, and but they opposed Dardi vehemently. I also contested that election in 2001 from Bariba, and I received 1,700 votes. And there was one problem because people knew me as Jouhl, but on my nomination, because I couldn't have put Jouhl, it was Jouhl, and many Indians didn't recognize. But it was credible vote, but I didn't save my deposit. Karm Singh Kerti. He was Communist Party member from India before he came here. He was learned person regarding the Marxist issue and Marxist agenda. But otherwise, because he was not, he was aware of good communicator in Punjabi, but he lacked English language, or reading or writing English language very well. But otherwise, he was a dedicated person, and he remained dedicated all his life and remained dedicated to the Indian Workers Association. And also he contributed good contribution to the IWA front in not tens of pounds but hundreds of pounds, and sent money to India for the organization. They have hundreds of pounds, and I would say he spent a good life, very dedicated person.
Dardi used to look after him when he went to the old people's home, didn't he?
Dardi started looking after him when he was at Avtar house, and then he was moved to the old people home, where he died eventually.
How old was he when he passed?
He was around 94, 95 years. Yeah.
It's a good innings.
Yeah.
But he lost his sight towards
he
the
suffered
end.
his eyesight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kalbir came to UK after 1962 on a work voucher. He was son of great communist leader Baba Bhag Singh Bilga, and he was dedicated to the movement. After coming here, he worked all his life in Birmingham. He worked as an electrician and then formed his company. I don't know which year he formed his company, but for many years he worked as an electrician. And Kalbir became president of the Birmingham Indian Workers Association branch, and he remained president for many years. And when Shirley Joshi Welfare Trust was formed, after several years he became its president, and he is president to this day. And he do good work, dedicated and committed to the organization.